Welcome YouTube to level TCG. Today, it's Akimo with a sort of Angel Feather showcase, which is something that we're sort of going to be experimenting into uh, in the coming weeks instead, due to the isolation period. Besides, as well, we covered zero content as well. Um, but yeah, we've decided that we're going to be putting in a few sort of showcase deck ideas and stuff like that based on various clans in the game. And basically, we're going to be just going through like the current deck lists for the deck, other ways to play, some various combos that you can do, the meta viability and premium viability. We'll touch on a little bit on that and how it can be improved or will be improved for premium collection too. So yeah. So first things first, we're gonna go into the current deck list of what I run for Angel Feather. All right. So first thing, starter, first aid Celestial Peniel. Don't use the boss baby. If you use the boss baby, then you're just a sucker for robots, I guess. So there's that. And now on to grade. We'll just go to grade threes first because the grade zero lineup is actually really weird. Um, First things first, grade three lineup. We've got four Malkuth Malak. All right. So basically, when he's placed, you use CB2. Opponent's Vanguard is grade two. Burn them. If you're there on grade three, heal one. So really good, especially in premium. It's just can heal, can burn, does a lot of things. Its second ability is very Grand Bluish. Once per turn, you soul plus one. You call up to three cards from your drop zone to rearguard circle, and then three of your front row units get plus 5k until end of turn. And then you deal yourself one damage. So this also helps with self dealing damage to yourself because sometimes in premium, for example, if they're at grade three and stuff like that, they might just try and damage deny you, so you just ping yourself one damage to make sure they can't really go off and stuff like that. So, but in standard as well, if they decide to damage deny you and stuff like that for other skills, you can just burn yourself one. Basically, the whole bird ability that he's got sort of can accelerate the game state to make it quicker. However, a lot of the times you want to be using the healing ability. So yeah, so we got four Malkuths. Next we run four Metatron. Metatron's the next healer. So when she's ridden from a grade 3, you can CB2 to call a card from your damage zone to reguard circle, and she gets plus 50k until end of turn. And yeah, so she's another in the premium. She's another healer. This just causes her to be very strong and stuff like that. Very strong. Having on place skills in premium is very huge, and the fact that she can just heal one and give you a call over that is just it's just immensely strong. Her once per turn skill was put a card from your damage zone in the bottom of your deck and perform a rescue check, pretty much. So it's just another performing a rescue check. If you don't know what that is, or if you're just new to standard, rescuing back in G era was when you healed yourself one damage and then you dealt yourself one damage. So it was a main gimmick of Gabriel, and Metatron sort of does that, except she sort of helps with the deck out problem and puts the two cards to the bottom of the deck instead of in the drop zone. So it's really strong. Of course, we're in four. Now the one last grade three you run is one mobile hospital. Feather Palace. Now, when this card first came out, I was immensely disappointed in it, and I hated it so much. I hated the fact that it was like flip everything face down. It was just for me one of the worst grade threes that you could have given Angel Feather. However, the more I played with the deck, the more I used this card, and the more it grew on me. And that until now, I just can't find a deck. I just can't see myself using a deck list without him. He's just very strong. That he's actually the finisher in the deck in this kind of base deck. So we'll get into that combo later on. But basically when he attacks you, Soul Blast two grade threes, then and put all your cards face down. And that's a bit of a typo there for Bushiroad, so yeah, cool. Now until end of battle, he gets plus 20k at crit, and your opponent can't call Sentinels on Guardian Circle from hand. So he's really strong. Can get really big, and that's the whole point of the finishing move, which we'll get into later on. Next, for the grade 2s, we run 4 Edroid Zion. Zion is a new card that fits the Agodial theme. And basically what he does is during your turn, if a new card was put into your opponent's damage zone, he gets plus 10k. So that's pretty good with the burn ability of Malkuth, 19k boost. With his own skill, he'll be 19k attacker. With his own skill, he's 19k attacker. When he attacks the Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's reguards and you may put it into the damage zone. If you do, your opponent heals a card from their damage zone, and at the end of the battle, retire that unit. So a lot of people are very like against Angel Feather's whole countercharging the opponent thing, except that these retiring abilities that Angel Feather has, they're incredibly strong and they require almost zero cost. So zero cost to do. Sure, you retire him at the end of the battle phase, but that's mainly because he gets plus 10k and just having sure just doing that every single turn is just broken. But yeah, we run 4 of this because it's really strong. 19k attacker. Angel Feather has a lot of bigger beat sticks now that the new set has come out. Next we run 3 Amputation Angel. This deck is a Protect 2 base deck. So if you're running, so you could also maybe try and go Protect 1 and just not use this card, but that's also just wasting resources. It really depends on the matchup. But if you're a Protect marker in the same column as this unit, she gets plus 15k power. So that's 24, and so that's 15k for both turns. So she's a 24 base on both turns if you have a Protect marker in the same column. What you do is you always put the Protect 2 marker at the back row. And I'll get into that and get into why you do that later on. And during the battle that she attacks, if you have 3 or more Protect markers on your circles, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand. So Angel Feather is a very much a anti-Sentinel deck. It's very much like your opponent can't really do much. Can't really guard. It's mostly a guard restrict kind of thing. It's almost like what was it, Dark Regulars back in GBT 14? Just standard players won't know what that is, but yeah. So yeah, she gets big, guard restrict, fantastic card. Very good card. Next we run 2 Hygienist Angel. In my word, the international student. She gets plus 5k for each card in your damage zone. So this is just amazing. This card, honestly, she can just sit back. It's just really strong. So with that in premium, she's even stronger. But we'll talk about that later on. And yeah, so just because she's 7k base, it's hard. We run only 2 because we don't want to ride her, but we do want to see her. So we just run 2. Now, one last card is on Spicy Tech. We run 1 Care Mine Nurse, and the Care Mine Nurse is only for the sort of the hospital turn. So we've got actually a few like sort of testing things that I've done a lot of testing with this deck, and this is sort of like the one that I like the most. I'm not going to say it's the best or not, since we don't really have any results for this, I guess you could say this season or this half of the year. But this is the one where I found either the most success in or the one that fits my playstyle the most. This is why it's a showcase for Angel Feather, especially because there's a lot of ways you can build Angel Feather, and I'm going to be going through most of them during this entire video. So Caroline Nurse, we'll talk about why we run one of her later on. For the grade ones, we go into 4 Hesidio. We're going to 4 Hesidio. So Hesidio is like pretty much just a generic one place from hand, CV1, swap unit card from your hand with a card from your damage zone. So like basically, well, you're taking damage, you're healing and you're taking damage. And sometimes when you take damage, you need cards in there that you actually in your hand. You want cards in there that are in your hand. So for example, maybe another grade 3 like Metatron, or another grade 3 like Malkuth. What this card can do is just pretty much just grabs whatever you need to your hand, switch it with another card from your hand, so you can just maybe ride Metatron next turn and call that. And yeah, but she also enables things like multi-medical angel, which means that you can generate quite a bit of advantage to it. So yeah. Next we run 4 multi-medical angel. Now this card, this card's probably like one of my favorite grade ones. I think it's just really good card, really good card. If a new card is put into your damage zone this turn, you can put it to the bottom of your deck and draw 2, and ditch 1. So what happens is, if you call, like, for example, if you go into Malkuth, for example, and you have like 3 of these in the drop zone, if you want, you could just call all 3. It's a bit of a waste of resources, but you get plus 3 from it, because you never really called them. You can just go, put that down, use all 3 skills, and you pretty much go draw 6, ditch 3. So, into your hand, that's plus 3. And that's actually really strong. Same with Metatron. If you ride Metatron, call this from the damage zone, you can use this skill, and just put it to the bottom and draw 2, ditch 1. That's a plus 1 to hand. So it's I think it's a really good card, and that's why I run 4 copies of it. Next, for the grade ones, we run 3 Sectio Angel. This is the reason why we run Protect 2, and this is the reason why we sort of put Protect 2 in the bottom. Because if you have a Protect mark in the same column as her, as Sectio, she cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects, and she gets Intercept and can intercept from the back row. So that's very, very strong. Being a 20k interceptor is incredibly strong for Angel Feather. Especially since she has resist and she solves a lot of the problems that Protect 2 in general has. Against borderline decks, like for example Gauntlet Buster or Blade Master or maybe or Hyuga, she really doesn't do much and stuff like that, but most of those matchups are going to be going into Protect 1 anyway. Because then she's just useless. Most of the units are useless anyway. Yep. Now this is another spicy tech. Next we run 3 Syringe Lesser. Now, a lot of this card is not as good. This card's not that good. I'm going to say it outright. It's not that good. It works incredibly well in my deck. However, in my version of the deck, however, in other versions of the deck, this card will not work. Basically, what he does is just you put him into the soul, and 2 of your units get plus 5k until end of turn. So in other words, you can turn a column into 10k. Basically, it's all about pumping up the hospital to make it like massive, massive. Um, yeah, but it's just it's good. It's a good card for this deck, but it's like there's a lot of other options you could use if you want. You can go into Lameda and stuff. But this option, these 3 spots here is very, very flexible. You can just go Lameda. You can maybe drop a Multimodica Angel and go 4 Helpful Intendant if you like that. I don't like Helpful Intendant much, considering that she doesn't really do much for the deck. This card does a lot for the deck. Much more does more for the deck. Now onwards to the trigger lineup. We've got the 7 crit. 7 crit, yep. You better pay close attention to this because this is actually very, very funny and very, very important. 6 draw, and then just 3 heals. Now, the reason why we actually do 3 heals is because of just a few things. Just maybe a few things. The first thing that I sort of considered when I was running before the trigger lineup for this deck is that if you run heals, these heals, when you check them using like Metatron's skill or Malkuth's skill, they have a hard time going off because more often than most, you're either at the same amount of damage or because you just healed, you're at lower amount of damage than your opponent. So more often than not, late game, this will not go off. And late game, this will not go off unless you drive check it or you damage 6 miracle healing. I hate relying on miracle healing to win games. It just doesn't, for me, it doesn't work, and betting on luck is just not really my playstyle. This is the second reason why we only run 3 heals is because it's a timer. It serves as a timer for this deck. It tells you when you can go into your sort of like your hospital. It tells you when you can go into your whole hospital burst turn because of the combo that I'm going to tell you guys about later on. But yeah, we go 3 heals. I'll explain more later on. 6 draw because this actually goes off. 6 draw and 6 crit because when these go off for the damage dealing that Malkuth and Metatron do, then you actually get something out of it. Heal trigger, you only get plus 10k power, and that's it. So you either go +1 with draw or you get critical, and that's something that really, really is important to Angel Feather. So yeah. Okay, so now that we've done sort of the whole deck list and stuff like that, I want to talk about the sort of various combos that I mentioned in the video. So the first combo that you can think about is any one of these 4 and like multi-medical angel. This is a very generic combo and stuff like that. If you like say you have one of these in the damage zone, like over here, then you ride Metatron. You can use the pay the cost, call this out, and then you can use its skill to draw 1 to hand. So it just offers as a +1. So that's pretty really cool that you can do. Malkuth as well. If you have a bunch of these in the drop zone, you can just go Malkuth, call a bunch of these, maybe 2 or something like that if you want to draw 2. Put these at bottom, draw 4, ditch 2, you've gone +2 to hand. Yeah, so that's a little cute combo that you can do. Let's give us a minute. Yeah, so that's a cute combo that you can do. Now the biggest thing where I've been talking about sort of timer, the hospital, care minus, and heal triggers for so far in the video, and this is the reason why. Okay, so by the time once you hit 2 grade 3s, into soul, this is when you go into sort of Feather Palace. So what happens is, say for example, you're in Malkuth, say you got like maybe 2 Malkuths in soul. Yep. So this is your Vanguard. Got this out. Got maybe a hospital that's in the drop. or in your hand. Really doesn't matter which way it comes from at this point, because it really doesn't matter. So basically how the combo works is that you need Malkuth Melek, you need Hospital, you need Care Mindness. You need, in my opinion, it doesn't matter too much if you go Protect 1 or Protect 2. It's more effective if you go Protect 2 though. So really, and maybe at least two syringe less. So that's why I run 3 of this card. So what happens is you could have, for example, if you have, for example, Care Mindness in hand, and these 3 in drop, because you maybe nulled, and you ditched a thing like that. You can just be like, okay, sure, I'm going to call Care Mindness here. I'm going to, let's say we have an extra card in Soul as well, like yeah, for example that. Perfect. You can use Malkuth Malik skill to Soul Blast 1, Superior Calling Hospital, and as many syringe as you possibly can. So now, you deal yourself 1 damage, so that's an extra chance to get a trigger. It's like, say for example, it doesn't matter, no trigger, who cares? By that time you should have around at least 2 protect markers stacked on this column. Sometimes you might go in this column, you go right here. Sometimes you might go right here because you want to make sure, like, you want to have multiple sectors and stuff like that, which is a perfectly fine play. But this goes for 29. But because if you have, yeah, but so that's also known. The second thing you need to notice about it is that you have to have 5 cards in the damage zone. So say you took this damage, okay, so like this. You have to have 5 cards in the damage zone. For K-Mine Nurse to get her plus 20k in boost, there needs to be 5 cards. And this is the reason why we only run 3 heals. Because we don't want to be checking the heal triggers. We don't want to be checking heal triggers during our drive check, because this unit will end up losing her boost and losing plus 20k. And that's minus 29k and that's minus, because of these two, that's minus 39k boost. And that's not what you want. So when you run 3 heals, if you see all 3 of them, that tells you that there's no more heals left in the deck. And once that tells you there's no more heals in the deck, you're live to, this is live. This is absolutely live. So basically what you use it with is, for example, if you have maybe 1 heal, if your deck is massive, right? And you know there's a heal on the bottom because you use Metatron's skill to chuck it to the bottom or something like that, then you can also go into it. So as long as you know the location of all 3 heal triggers, then that tells you can go into this. So it needs to be a 5 damage, and basically what you do is just you chuck Syringe Lesser into the soul, that's plus 20k to the column here. So say you got 2 Protect 2s or something like that, like say for example, since we take the Angels in the back row, we just put them both here. So this will be attacking then, using skill, Soul Blast 1, Soul Blast, all of them, Soul Blast all the grade 3s, this is already attacked, Twin Drive, nothing, who cares. It'd be 32k plus the 5k from Malkuth, which is 37k, plus the 10k from the Protect 2, so that's 47k, plus the 20k from this Ghost Skull, that's 37, 47, that's 67, plus the 9k, that's 76, plus the 20k from 2, that's 96k. That's 96k. If you checked one trigger during that, this breaks 100, and it's incredibly difficult for your opponent to guard that. So that's the biggest main combo that I work around with the deck. There's a lot of ways, there's a lot of other things you can do with the deck. So that's sort of like my version of Angel Feather. Now here, there's a lot of other things you can do and stuff like that. Of course, there's a showcase, not really much of a, not a deck profile. So these are a bunch of Angel Feather cards we've got here. Some other notable cards that you might want to try something else is a Malkuth Agurdial. I'm not going to sort of unsleeve and stuff like that because that's going to take way too long. You can go Agurdial Malkuth, where it's just like you can focus on sort of Agurdial's control aspect and just throwing cards into the damage zone, and that makes more use of cards like Lamero and Healthful and Tendon and all that kind of stuff. You go Protect 1 because you don't really need to run Sector and Amputation if this thing gives anything guard restrict anyway. And yeah, you can also run stuff like Thermometry Angel. You can run stuff like Electrical Helper for countercharge. Dispense Angel for more boosting power, which is probably you most likely will be running, and this card, Surgical Nurse, this is the anti-outmile card. Yeah, so there's all these kind of stuff you can run as well. So You can also go so that's something you can do as well. If you were to go that route, I would say 8 critical for draw, since 8 critical for draw for heal, because pretty much just you want to be pressurizing the opponent as quickly as possible. When a Godu gets a crit, Lamento it makes it unguardable, and Surgical Angel forces them to flip for damage for a Godu's plus 5k. So for a Godu to get plus 5k. So that's really, really good. And Helpful Intent just gives you more stuff to go work with. Armady as well you can run. It's pretty much a shiny deck. The second thing you go is Protect 2 spam, which is when you run the Zerakio and stuff like that. Sadly, I don't have a fourth Zerakio, so I'm going to have to try and find myself one eventually. But you can go into you can go for Zerakio and stuff like that, and run stuff like Yomiao and more Sectios, more amputations and stuff like that. So I don't know where my other amputation went, but I know there's a Sectio in here. You can run the way you go, focus on more on the Sectio and amputation angel. And yeah, so that's a whole nother deck list on its own, where you just go into Protect 2, focusing more on Zerakio herself, where just keep using her skill and stuff like that. It's like you can, for example with her, you can try go Clear View plus Surgical Nurse. For example, if say you are healed, say for example you Soul Blasted a Zerakio to for a melee skill or something like that, right? So one Zerakio is in the drop zone, you can go into Clear View Angel, which would put say these say this for example these two are in the drop zone, in the damage zone, right? It is in drop, this is in damage. Let's put something else in damage as well, like this for example. Whoop. You could then just be like, okay, skill, put Zerakio to the damage zone face down, Superior Call Surgical Nurse from the damage zone, then Surgical Nurse ability, Soul Blast 1 to counter charge 1 for both players, and then just do it again. So there's a little 2-card combo that you can try off with. There's a cute little combo. Yeah, so there's a lot of other decks as well. There's Tomail, which I don't actually own any copies of, which is it's a good thing because Tomail is not really that much of a good card, but it's pretty much just spamming the Perdurable Phoenix. The Phoenix card is pretty strong if you go against anti-Sentinel decks, like for example Angel Feather itself. So it's just a spicy card that you can use to like guarantee null if there's a null in your drop zone. Yep. So that's pretty much it for this whole entire Angel Feather deck kind of thing and stuff like that. We can talk if there's any other things you want to notice and stuff like that, leave them in the comments below. If there's like some other questions, and me and Akimo will probably just like reply to you saying what you can do, what you can't do. In terms of meta viability, next week we've got, well, this is recorded this is recorded before the ban list that Bashir had announced on the 5th. So assuming that the ban list doesn't change the metagame, this deck doesn't this deck can put up a bit of a fight against Narukami. It really depends on like how well you open and all that kind of things. Like Adroid Zayin, for example, it's not really going to do much against Jaggy Shot and against Narukami, since Jaggy Shot leaves the field and a lot of cards just leave the field and stuff like that. And Rising Phoenix just goes to the drop zone, and they just get that back. So against Narukami, it's a bit of a hit and miss kind of matchup. Most of the time, and which most of the time it's more 60 miss, 40 hit. For Revon and stuff like that, Revon is very. I think Revon is probably one of the more difficult matchups for Angel Feather, mainly just due to the fact that their rush turn is just leaves you sort of gasping and stuff like that. It just makes it very difficult. It puts you in a really precarious position and stuff like that. So Revon probably would be the harder matchup. Mordred, this deck actually does pretty well against. I've not lost, I get to Mordred with this deck, with Angel Feather. So that's really strong. That's a pretty good thing. And Chrono Fang, this deck has actually a pretty good matchup against Chrono Fang as well. Just due to the fact that intercepting with a 20k shield just sort of like shuts down a lot of things and stuff like that. And they can't really retire the back row. They can only retire front row. So that's why it's sort of like this deck actually has a pretty good matchup against Chrono Fang. In terms of other decks, I think at the moment, in my opinion, Angel Feather is the strongest Protect deck, and with Nubatama coming in a close second, and then followed by DI. But really, Protect deck is in a weird, and it's just in a bad position. It's just a bad position in general. So Yeah, so there's also that. Now, I'm not sure if my camera is going to be like switching off anytime soon, but I'm going to sort of like milk as much of this battery as possible. So I'm going to be talking about premium collection. So I'm going to be talking about sort of premium collection and what they all kind of do and stuff like that. All right, so for premium collection, for example, if the video cut off for a bit there, it's because we reached the maximum capture size. For premium collection, for example, and stuff like that, this is the card that we were given. Holy Celestial Buzzsail. Now, Buzzsail, if you don't know what she does, is generate on place Vanguard Generation Break 3 when place. If you okay, so yes, so when place Generation Break 3, basically what happens is the maximum damage that you can have is 7. However, if you have 5 cards face up in your G zone at the time she's placed, then the maximum damage size becomes 8. So what this does is that extends like how much like damage you can take to make sure like how much damage you can take. So now instead of your opponent trying to kill you at 6, they have to kill you at 8, which is very very strong. Which is very very strong. A lot of people say it's really really slow. Angel Feather is a slow deck. It's how it's supposed to run. It's how it's supposed to play. So that just makes sense. Her second ability is Counterblast 4. It's an act Counterblast 4 for this turn. Whenever one of your units would attack, whenever one of your units attacks, to guard, your opponent must call the same amount of cards that are in your damage zone. So that one ability is incredibly strong. It's very expensive, but when you consider the fact that you might have maybe 7 counterblast to do, 7 counterblast and stuff like that, it's not as expensive as it first sounds. So a few things that you want to notice and want to note about this card and stuff like that, for example, is the Generation Break 3 ability and and the second ability. The chance of you activating both of them on the same turn are very very slim. There's a very big chance that you're not going to actually activate both of those at the same time. But basically, what you do is first you stride into this, right? And then you just spend that turn doing nothing else. That's it. You stride into her, don't even use a skill, just vanilla attacks. Just a few vanilla attacks and stuff like that. Because now at that point, if you're at maybe 4 damage, or if you rode like maybe Metatron or Malkuth Melek and you healed, right? You would have either put, if you're at 4 damage, for example, you put yourself at 3, your opponent has to deal you 5 more damage to win. So it doesn't really matter too much for that turn if you want to try to amass more resources. It doesn't really matter. Maybe you can try amassing more resources using stuff like Black Slice Harut, using stuff like Malik, and using other stuff like Nurse's Smash Heart and Surgery Angels and stuff like that. But usually you use the Surgery Angels. I would suggest using the Surgery Angels just to put them back into the deck, so that when you go into it a second time, there's a bunch of stands left in your deck, and just restanding your units becomes very, very effective. Um, Beside that, I'm very, very happy with this card. Incredibly happy because Angel Feather, despite what you may look at the wiki, Angel Feather doesn't actually have a finisher. Besides Ultima, I wouldn't call Ultima Angel Feather's finisher because really Ultima is every United Sanctuary every United Sanctuary's finisher, and I agree with the fact of what Bushido is trying to do for a lot of the cards is that they're trying to shy away from Zeroth Dragons. They're realizing that, hang on a minute, these cards are just stuff that we're never going to repeat again, and they're so expensive. They're so damn expensive. So it's just basically giving clans finishes that you would rather go into instead of going into ZRs and stuff like that is fantastic. And Angel Feather finally got theirs. The other finisher that we had is Velida Terminal, which is right over here somewhere. Yeah. That's the only other finisher that we can potentially do. But even then, she's just a rescue 5 is not very effective. Is not very effective. So we don't usually run her. You might want to run her just because just you can cheese it with this. But I wouldn't suggest running her at all. If you want to run her something with Lamed or something like that. So we don't actually run that in like also yeah, the Sother Sea like cute. Um Anyway, for premium viability, assuming if DI and again as I mentioned before, this is before the May 5th ban list. So if DI/slash Neonic they get hit, then this deck could actually spike up in popularity. And that's something that I want to see and stuff like that. I want to see sort of these format maybe slow down. Murukumo, however, is a big problem and stuff like that. I'm not going to say it's like disgusting or anything like that. It's just a big problem and stuff like that. It's just a big problem. And even then, like I feel like Angel Feather it's not Angel Feather's worst matchup. In premium, I'd say that the Angel Feather's worst matchup is probably Gold Paladin, just because of the ultimate turn. Giving can making just letting them stack crits. It just makes it very very difficult. Even if you're at like because if you're at one damage, because you have to make sure you're at one damage to make sure you can take two ultimate attacks. And because of the fact that we have to run a bunch of 5k triggers, like the stand triggers and stuff like that, it just makes it very, very difficult. You can use stuff like Serial and Nurse's Smash Heart to sort of draw cards during your opponent's turn to try and help you survive it, but it's very, very difficult, I think, that turn for Angel Feather. Um, but yeah, in terms of how it works, I think Angel Feather is in a pretty good space and pretty good place in Premium, assuming that DI and Katrina get hit. Katrina, Katrina's been a thorn. Katrina's been a literal thorn in most people's side for a long time. For a long time and stuff like that. If you talk about premium, I feel like Katrina is the one card that's going to be mentioned the most because most people are just sick and tired of how brain dead the card is. And still, on the other hand, isn't brain dead at all. In fact, it requires quite a bit of thought. But the only biggest problem is that the card is just incredibly strong and it just takes incredible time. And a lot of people like correlate that with, oh, this is disgusting. I have to play against the wall for a good 5 or 10 minutes. It's just that kind of stuff. A lot of card fighting players come from Yu-Gi-Oh. So anyway, I'm going off of that. They come from Yu-Gi-Oh. So they don't want it because they left Yu-Gi-Oh because of that. Anyway, I'm going off a bit of a tangent there. Um, so there's yeah, so this stride is pretty good. We also got our critical trigger just a few nights ago. She's hella cute, stride fodder, which is fantastic. I'm going to be definitely incorporating her into the deck. So we might combine a sort of premium deck profile. I might combine a premium deck profile. If I do, it's fantastic. If I don't, then I'll probably make a new video about it later on when she's actually out. And yeah, so last but not least, how what else Angel Feather can be to like improve, I think right now. Angel Feather's in a pretty good spot in terms of premium and standard, so I'm very, very happy about that. The only thing that I'm sort of wondering if we can get is the fact that we our first ride in terms of premium support, for example, our first ride isn't very, very strong. Isn't very, very strong at all. Um, it's just Eden is like our first ride options are these pretty much. If we have a look, our first ride options are these. We've got Mitra and we have Eden. Now, Eden by itself is a very very strong stride. That's what I think. I think she's very very strong. The fact that she can multi attack with Protect 2 just makes things pretty good, pretty good. But the problem with Eden is that a whole time you're gonna be stalling to a buzzer sale. You're gonna be stalling to a buzzer sale, and you only really go into once, which is the first ride, and which is the first ride. The second other thing, Mitra, is that usually you'll go into her if you straight up take 5 damage immediately. Murukuma, which is why I feel like the Murukuma matchup isn't as bad as people make it out to be for Angel Feather, because if you're at really low damage or like you're at 1 or something like that, just straight up take 4 damage because Mitra will come out if you ride that turn, you counterblast 2, heal 1, then you stride into Mitra, discard 2 more cards from hand, heal 2 more. Suddenly you're down to 2. Suddenly you're down to 2. Your opponent might, if you check a heal trigger, that's fantastic. If you check a heal trigger, that's fantastic. If you don't check a heal trigger, oh well, you at least get triple drive, which means you get 1 card back from your hand, and you get cool. And if you have Nurse's Smash Heart, then you get an extra card in your hand, so that's +2 to hand at least. So, yep. So there's Mitra, stuff like that, Eden, stuff like that as well. Uh, that's the pretty much though. I would like a different first ride, something like that. Maybe not something that will ultimately break Angel Feather or something like that. Just something that just provides a bit more like push factor. Although this card can get potential like this card technically, although Eden technically has a quad drive immediately and multi attack, which is actually pretty good. So I'm not too like fussed about what Angel Feather gets in the future. Something else that we sort of need. Angel Feathers for G guys are fantastic and stuff like that, especially Elith now because of the Baza sale. So that's cool. Don't worry, we're not gonna worry too much about that. Um, Cereal is just just a fantastic card all around. Just the fact that she can just OTT herself is just really really good. Um, but yeah, I guess for standard, really, I don't really care what I really not that I don't care actually. It's more that I'm very happy with standard support right now. That whatever Angel Feather gets, either next year or later on this year, either next year or later on this year, which was most likely next year. Um, I'm just gonna be very very happy that she's out there going to get something pretty cool. Maybe eventually, hopefully it's Gabriel because I really really like Gabriel, and Gabriel's sort of like what pushed me into not really what pushed me into Angel Feather. That was Metatron, and Metatron's already here. But it was like actually no, Godo pushed me into Angel Feather. Lol. But like yeah, it's Angel Feather's in a really really good place, and there's really not too much I could really ask for right now. So yeah, if you stuck throughout the whole video, thanks very much for watching. Um, please leave a like. Please leave a comment as well if you like for every other ideas and stuff like that. I'm very open to ideas and stuff like that. The more like the more perspectives I get for Angel Feather, the higher I still feel like the more improved my knowledge of the clan will be. Uh, and hopefully we'll be getting and hopefully I'll be giving you guys a premium collection based deck profile real soon. Hopefully, sort of the isolation period just sort of buggers off. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Carbide Vanguard showcases and more. And in the future, a lot of more Carbide Vanguard Zero content. So thank you very much for watching. Peace.